Teofimo's a great athlete, right? I would say he's a great fighter, man. He has great talent, but I think at 140, to me, it still didn't transition. You know, I seen he was a little slow. I picture myself in the ring, right, when he was fighting. I don't think Campa is me, right? So I think if it was me in the ring, it would be a whole way different fight, man. I just seen like a lot of flaws. So I'm happy I came here and experienced it, right? You know, in front. So we're hoping this fight happens.
What were the flaws that just stood out to you in terms of him being at 140 and the difference in that weight?
I think the speed of Teofimo is not there, man. You know, and I think also the pressure, my pressure, to apply to him, I think it'll be a whole different ball game. You know, I seen him a little, huffing and puffing a little bit. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of mistakes, man. Me and my pop seen. So we're gonna go back to the gym. Hopefully this fight happens. You know, we're praying it does, and we want it. I mean, I don't know if he does, but hopefully it happens.
How do you feel about him having to jump over you to get at Josh Taylor when you're number 3 in the world and saying, hey, I want those fights, don't waste my time?
Look, man, at the end of the day, my last fight, I fought a ranked fighter, right? This guy wasn't ranked, whatever. But, he's trying to jump it. Eventually he's going to have to fight one of us, you know what I'm saying? So I hope it's me, because I legit want to fight him. Like, I'm hungry, man. Like, I literally want to go to the gym right now. You know what I mean? But we'll see what happens, man. Congrats to him. It's his night. He did his thing, and hope to see him soon.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So that was Arnold Barboza giving his take on Teofimo Lopez's performance, his win over Campa. Arnold Barboza, he's a top-ranked, undefeated fighter at 140 pounds. He's one of Top Rank's best prospects. Not to mention he's from my hometown, Long Beach, California. Now, if it was up to Top Rank and Bob Arum, Teofimo Lopez, he would have been fighting Arnold Barboza this past weekend instead of Pedro Campa. So Teo was offered the Barboza fight, but he turned it down to fight Campa instead, which you guys may recall when they first even reported that Teo was going to fight Barboza. I was praising Teo for taking a real fight against a dangerous undefeated fighter who's another fighter that's being promoted by ESPN and Top Rank. But I ended up giving Teo too much credit because he didn't take the fight. Now, and after Teo beat Campa, he called out Regis Prograis and Josh Taylor. And then later on, he did an interview where he mentioned Arnold Barboza's name, and this is what he said.
Yeah, I want to shoot for the titles, you know what I'm saying? Having these guys like Barboza, Ryan Garcia, and all these other guys, I mean, it's just getting in my way of becoming a 2-time undisputed world champion.
Okay, so if you listen to what Teo said right there, it doesn't sound like he's real interested in taking the Arnold Barboza fight, because he says he's more focused on winning another world title. But he does say these guys are getting in the way, so that could be interpreted as him saying, I know I'm going to have to fight one of these guys to even get a world title. That is possible. Because Arnold Barboza, he made a really good point when he said, my last opponent was ranked. Teofimo just fought a guy that wasn't even ranked. And he said, so he's going to have to fight one of us eventually. I know Bob Arum is still interested in making a Lopez versus Barboza fight. He also wants to make a possible fight with Lopez and Ramirez, which is another good fight as well. I'm telling you guys, it takes really special fighters to move up in weight and be just as special or just as good as you were in the weight previously. If you guys recall, when fighters like Nonito Donaire, when he moved up to a higher weight class, he was never as dominant as he was in the smaller weight classes. Chocolatito Gonzalez, Nonito Donaire, they both got knocked out for the first times in their career when they moved up in weight. Lomachenko, since he's moved up to 135, he has not looked the same. Even Danny Jacobs. I remember Danny Jacobs, he has said, and I'm not saying that he was pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world, but it's important to note, he was talking about how he was going to be so much better at 168. And Danny Jacobs, he ended up looking his worst at 168. Losing to John Ryder and arguably losing to Gabe Rosado. And I think Teofimo Lopez, he will meet a similar fate. Sometimes moving up in weight is almost like going from amateurs to pros. The punches are harder because the gloves are smaller, because there is no headgear. So that usually changes the way some boxers fight, for better or worse. And once again, the same thing can be said when fighters move up in weight. You're fighting against guys that are naturally bigger. Guys that you used to be able to knock out with just one beautiful counterpunch, now they're walking through that one counterpunch. Now you got to hit them with 50 of those counterpunches or 100 just to stop them. And on top of that, you can't make as many mistakes as you were making in the smaller weight classes because the consequences are more amplified due to you fighting guys with more power and more size. Barboza would definitely beat Teofimo Lopez at 140. Barboza, for you guys who haven't watched him fight, he's a volume puncher, but he's technical. He sets his punches up. He doesn't just throw punches and leave himself open for punches. He also changes the speed of the pitch when he's throwing his punches in terms of velocity, meaning he doesn't throw all of his punches at the same speed or with the same type of power, like a Canelo often does. Barboza, sometimes he will throw punches almost like pity-pat punches, but with a little bit more power. He will throw them punches to set you up for something big. And then when he has you open, that's when he'll start hitting you with hard combinations. He's also setting everything up with jabs, straight punches. And for a fighter like Lopez, who often relies on one or two counter punches, Barboza would be a nightmare for him. I've already told you guys that I don't see Teofimo Lopez beating any of the top guys at 140. It's a very deep division, and once again, Lopez is moving up in weight. With fighters like Gary Russell, Josh Taylor, Regis Prograis, and Arnold Barboza, I don't see Teo beating any of these guys. If Teo beats any of these guys, I would be extremely impressed with Teo because Teo is in over his head. It's a hell of an uphill battle for him from this point on. I don't even know if he can beat Jose Ramirez. And when it comes to Ryan Garcia, I already told you guys, when you have professional boxers like Andre Ward and Fernando Vargas Jr., they're saying that Teofimo, he needs a couple more fights or at least one more fight before he even gets in the ring with Ryan Garcia. Listen, regardless of who you think wins that fight and why, just the fact that you have professional boxers like Andre Ward or Fernando Vargas Jr. saying something like that, that speaks volumes when it comes to Teofimo Lopez. It tells you that all of these professional boxers, from Arnold Barboza to Fernando Vargas to Regis Prograis, Devin Haney, Andre Ward, and the list goes on and on and on, they all see Teofimo Lopez as a very flawed fighter. But the best thing about boxing is we're going to find out how flawed he really is in his next two fights, because Teo will most likely be fighting against some serious competition within his next two fights. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.
My name is Chris, and I'm all the way here from Anchorage, Alaska at Scalp Carolinas, and I'm here for my second treatment of SMP. Well, I was sitting at home one day and going over my Facebook page, and they have different, like advertisements popping up, and I saw one for SMP, and I saw some pictures of some guys, of before and after, and I was looking at that, and it caught my attention. So I Googled it, SMP, nothing showed up in my area. So, I did a little more research, and all of a sudden, Scalp Carolinas popped up in the web browser. So I started watching his videos and seeing all the reaction from all the other people. We talked on the phone, we made appointments and everything. I sent him pictures, and he looked at them, and I was like, can you fix this? And he pretty much said, no problem. My first session, he made me feel extremely comfortable. It was almost like I was talking to family. He started, and during the whole treatment, we talked and about our families and our life, and and things that he does and things that I do. And before I know it, the first session was over. When you see someone doing something that they love, as much as I see Enoch Glover love what he does, it shows in his work. I wouldn't point anyone in any other direction but here to North Carolina, Scalp Carolinas, to get this done.
All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, then this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called Elo Diki Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to elodiki.com, like them on Facebook, and follow them on Instagram. Let me tell you guys about Issa Israel Law Firm. It is a full-service legal practice based in Denver, Colorado, an emerging hub for combat sports and high-altitude training. If you're a fighter inside or outside of the ring and you need a law firm you can trust to fight for you, visit thefighterfirm.com or email help@iilawfirm.com. Legal representation is usually limited to plaintiffs or defendants in Colorado, but iFirm can help anyone in the world with trademarking their business name, logos, and U.S. immigration issues. This brother has been my attorney for a while and helped guide me through all kinds of business and civil issues, so make sure you guys go to thefighterfirm.com.